guys and gals, and here from Drake Green Gaming, and Sunny Mountain Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Kingsguard, Koshiro's Path. It's been a little while, y'all. This one accidentally fell off rotation, so let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go! I can't keep you safe. Not in this condition. You must survive. Without me. Forget about that. You should listen to your guardian, young king. Even in the face of death, it's still his sworn duty to protect the king. Master Koshiro. The inferno seemed to part way as the white-furred wolf who was with Koshiro appeared. His steps were just as silent, his posture relaxed and calm, and his face was devoid of emotion. Would you look at the state of our village, Would you look at the state our village has come to? I have failed as a leader. It truly is heartbreaking to see so many of my clansmen killed without honor. His voice betrayed his true feelings. You were unable to read his eyes or his face, and his voice sounded hollow. It was as though he were simply watching this unfold as an observer, one with no part to play in any of this. But do not fear, Koshiro. All is not lost. You are far from dead, and from the ashes our clan can be revived stronger than ever. The heat of the flames grew hotter, and the smoke in the air became tinged in a deep violet. Something didn't seem right. You knew it would only be a few seconds before you found out what. Time seemed to turn back for the older wolf. He grew in stature and muscularity, rising higher above both you and Koshiro and bulking out of his loose clothes. He started to look physically stronger and more fit. His once shimmering white fur that glistened in the moonlight became slick and black like night. Koshiro began to grunt as the sounds of broken bones and squishing sounds accompanied his changing body. The wolf's claws began to grow longer as well, protruding out until they were several inches in length and sharp like knives. Whatever was happening to him was obviously painful, as he could barely keep himself standing during the change. His labored breaths gave way as exhaustion, and his mouth went agape as he drooled. His face was turned towards the ground as he swayed, standing, looking like a marionette. He shook, and you heard a deep tone like a hiccup that turned out to be laughter. His face shot up and looked at the two of you, his eyes piercing through you like swords. Koshiro, what happened to you? Something quite wonderful. Wonderful? How? Your body? Our clan is in ruins, Koshiro. We need power to save what's left of it. This is just the beginning. We can rebuild, but we must do something about him first. Koshiro rose an arm and pointed right at you. Koshiro, kill him. What? What the hell are you talking about? Once your blood is joined with our fallen brethren, then we can be free from this plight. Koshiro, you must end his life. That is all that I have left to teach you. That is my final mission for you. Koshiro turned to look at you. He looked just as frightened as you were. Without your blade, you weren't in an advantageous position, and looking at Koshiro, you somehow knew that Koshiro didn't stand a chance. What was flying through his mind? Was it the same as yours? If he struck you down, he would survive. If he refused, would either of you even get away from this? Koshiro, no. That is one mission that I cannot complete. It has and will always be my duty to keep him safe. If I have to forsake my own clan, then so be it. But I won't resort to that kind of sacrifice. I will find a way to save both. Koshiro cackled again. I knew it was wise to choose you. From the moment I laid eyes on you, I had found my disciple. Koshiro, you have no idea how proud I am for everything you have done. Even now, you didn't hesitate to make such a difficult choice. But as for me, I have already failed, and we don't have time as a luxury. My Majesty, I do apologize to have to save my village. Jake, run! Koshiro made no attempt to reach for his weapons. His claws were sharp and long like knives as he rushed at you. Ah! You felt something splatter onto your face and clothes. A warm liquid tinted your vision and dripped down from your body in copious amounts. Koshiro stood in front of you, Koshiro's claws jutting out from behind. Even as you die, you still make me proud. Koshiro retracted his blades from Koshiro's body and you caught him as he fell limp. Run! Please! Don't die here! Blood and spittle dribbled out of Koshiro's mouth as he attempted to speak in broken words. He glanced up at Koshiro. Rage was all that fueled you right now. Look after Koshiro. You'll need someone to help make his reincarnation more pleasant. You bastard! Ah! You had no time to blink as the dark wolf's claws jabbed into your body. Koshiro! You woke from the new nightmare, drenched in sweat from your head to your feet. You couldn't stop shaking, your body was on fire. You brought a hand up to your aching chest. If you didn't know any better, you would have expected a drummer was wrapped inside your heart, was trapped inside your heart. But a dream? That dream. It felt far too real to be just a nightmare. It was the exact same feeling you had back at the pool in the catacombs. You lifted your head and were hit with a sudden feeling of vertigo. Bile rose from your stomach, but you quickly pushed it back down. The whole room was swaying, or rather, rocking. It was steady and smooth, but it was making you feel sick. As you looked around, you found your surroundings were yet again unfamiliar to you. The hardwood boards covered the floor and walls, and every so often you heard the entire room creak. Am I aboard a ship? I don't remember ever reaching it. For a ship, though, it was quite comfortable looking. Well, almost indiscernible from just a regular room. The decor had elegance not that different from the castle. You nearly jumped out of the bed when you caught sight of a ferocious-looking wolf staring at you from the floor, though upon closer inspection it looked to be a rug. Not only was it frightening, it was certainly distasteful. Windows. You heard water echoing through the room and splashing against the sides. As you glanced at a large window, you saw only deep blue waves stretching on for miles. I don't see the sea gate. How far out are we? Or rather, how long have I been traveling? You thought you spied a small speck of land on the horizon, but as it began to grow larger, rising above the surface of the water, it turned out to be a whale. Water jutted out from the top of its head and it dove back down. Now I know for sure I'm nowhere near Havana. Whales can't even get close to the city with the reef and the sea gate. Okay. At the side of your bed was a chair pulled up as close as though someone was just sitting in it. Koshiro? No one answered. As much as I'd rather not see him, I still feel uneasy not knowing where he is. That's an odd-looking lantern. Atop both the bedside tables was a covered candle, or what you assumed was one. It emitted such a brilliant glow of light, yet you felt little to no heat. As you peered inside, you saw a glass-looking orb shining brilliantly. You had to turn away as your eyes began to hurt. What? How's this thing making light without fire? And just inscribed in the base of the lantern was an insignia of a lizard breathing fire with the words, Ignatius's Incandescence, and circling it, and just below that was a switch. You pressed it once and it turned off, then again and it turned back on. Witchcraft! You pressed the button several dozen more times, making the light vanish and reappear at your leisure. Perhaps it's a new invention from someone in Anazite. They always seem to create the most fascinating things. To think, light without flame. I wonder how it works. Making it disappear and reappear at my leisure, huh? Witchcraft! Okay. Pillow time. Thoughts of the coronation flashed through your mind, and you looked around suddenly for signs of enemies. Ah! As you twisted to look around, a sharp pain jolted down your back. You removed the covers from your body and found gauze wrapped tightly around your entire torso. You're just about to pull at the knot that tied it all together when the door of the room opened. Oh my! Your aunt's mouth dropped to the floor, and she stood awestruck in the doorway. Huh? What's wrong? It's Jake! Jake, he's finally awake. Quick, go get Leandros, hurry! Marilyn scurried to your side while Esther peeked his head in. After picking his jaw off the floor, he scurried off. Oh, thank the heavens, you were hurting. We thought we would lose you, it's... Tears welled up in her eyes as she began to bawl, her makeup running down her face as she went over to give you a hug. She wrapped her arms around you and you yelped in pain. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm just overcome with... I forgot. It's all right. The door slammed open, and there stood Leandros, panting heavily. He ran over to you, and you braced yourself for what you assumed to be another hug, only this time you stretched out your hands as he charged over you. Hold! 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 No hugging! You could hear his feet screech to a halt on the hardwood floor. Jake! He was doing his best to keep himself from leaping at you and hugging you, but finally gave up when he saw your condition. Esther trailed in from behind and entered the room as well. You're awake! The look of worry and concern drained from their faces in unison. As you looked at each of them closely, you noticed they looked well beyond exhausted with dark bags around their eyes. Leandros was the worst of them all. His mane was disheveled and unkempt. Even when he had just woken up, it never looked that bad. And his breath. Had he been drinking? How long have I been asleep for? She still felt a bit groggy and stifled a yawn. Marilyn wiped the tears from her eyes with the sleeves of her coat. Jake, you've been asleep for a week now. We've been waiting for you to come to. A week? So then the assassins? They are far away now, still back in Havana. They won't get to you here. That's good to hear. You tried to pull yourself out of bed, but the pain across your back stopped you in your tracks. Careful there. Try not to move too much. You're still recovering. You looked back down at your bandage. Is it bad? Everyone's expression looked grim. Jake, I'm sorry. Even with all of our efforts, I still wasn't able to protect you yet again. It's okay. I'm still alive, aren't I? No, it is not okay. We almost lost you because of my negligence. It was only by the grace of gods that one of the refugees on board was a medic. He was able to fix you up, but you told us that the damage was severe. There's a possibility you might never be able to move again or even wake up. Well, I'm not one to follow orders very well. You tried to laugh it off and brighten the mood, but it didn't help. Your comedic attempt hollowed out in silence. We're just glad you're okay. After everything that had happened, we couldn't bear to lose you as well. As well? Marilyn suddenly looked stunned, as though she had said something taboo. It all came back to you in full force. Right. Out in the corridor, creeping around in the dark, was a lone figure. Your heart skipped a beat thinking it was your father, but his golden eyes revealed the truth. It was only Koshiro. He was waiting patiently in the hall and keeping his distance. He was being very cautious, after all. Your father was dead, and he was the one who failed to protect him. He expected he likely was waiting to be called in. Jake? They likely were seeing the spiteful look on your face. Even you could feel your face tensing up and brow furrowing. I know what you must be thinking about. He wanted to make sure you were safe. It was always his concern. Would you all mind leaving me? I'd like to be left alone for a while. He gave a quick glance back out the door and made eye contact with Koshiro. He melded into the shadows, but you were sure he got your message. The three of them looked at each other for a moment, unsure of what to do. Yes, take all the time you need. We will be here if you need anything. Leandros opened his mouth to speak, but Esther put a hand on his shoulder and shook his head. You kept your eyes down as Leandros just stood there. Finally, he turned slowly and left as well, with his head hung low. As soon as their steps faded away from your room, the door opened again, although this time more quietly. There stood the fox by the entrance, still just as wary and timid. You beckoned him in with a hand and he crept forward. His steps were as quiet as always as he joined you by the side of your bed. It was likely risky to bring him into your room alone, but he must have had multiple opportunities to harm you. Your brain was buzzing with questions and your mouth wanted to spew them out all at once. You thought you would have been angrier by now, fueled by your emotions to lash out, but all you felt was pitiful emptiness. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I want to give a quick thank you to all of our lovely patrons, and don't forget to check out our Patreon, y'all. It really helps the channel. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!